Today, tomorrow, forever.
You all remember Dr. Hans Kleindast? Well, for the past 20 years, he's been trying to keep his face off the cover of Time magazine doing research. His field of research has been time travel.
Walker, how have you been, Lila? I'm not hurting anybody.
We can't go forward because the future hasn't happened yet. It turns out if you go back and you change something, it's serious. It could be catastrophic. We have to form a brand new covert agency to police this technology and to actually protect time. It'll be called the Time Enforcement Commission, or the TEC. And this man seated next to me is Commander Eugene Matuzak of the Washington Police Department. He is our choice to run the commission.
Agent Walker, I've heard a great deal about you.
And I've heard a lot about you, Senator.
The same matter can't occupy the same space at the same time.
Going back in time is a pretty easy way to make money.
I hope you keep trying to get your man.
I never quit.
I cannot go back to save her.
This scumbag is not going back to steal money.
I had company this morning. My com sender.
Did they say that?
I can't tell you anything. This guy's gonna roll right over you.
Surprise.
Joker, I really could care less whether you like me or not.
Who sent you?
You're not going back.
That's one of the dangers of having an agency like that.
Well, imagine the dangers of not having it.
I can't go back.
The younger one was
Dead.
If he were dead, he would not be here. You don't need the press, you don't need endorsements, you don't even need the truth. You need money. Agent Walker has already cost me that much. It's me, 10 years from now.
The defendant has been found guilty.
They would come back as many times as it takes.
Well, I trust you'll keep working.
You can bet on it.
Stay here, Walker. In my future, you're dead.
Am I dead?
Not dead.
What's the thought about going back and changing that?
Back home has made some changes.
Here is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty, your fans welcome you back, man. First of all, I would like to thank the many fans throughout this country that wrote cards and letters to Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, while I was down. Secondly, I want to thank Jim Crockett Promotions for waiting and taking the time, because I know how important it was. Starcade 85 it is to the wrestling fans, it is to Jim Crockett Promotions. And Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, with that weight, got what I wanted. Ric Flair, the world's heavyweight champion. I don't have to say a lot more about the way I feel about Ric Flair. No respect, no honor. There is no honor among thieves in the first place. He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family. You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work and got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell them go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job 30 years. 30 years. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, hey, a computer took your place, Daddy. That's hard time. That's hard time. And Ric Flair, you put hard times on this country by taking Dusty Rhodes out. That's hard time. And we all had hard times together. I admit I don't look like the athlete of the day supposed to look. My belly's just a little big. My hind is just a little big. But brother, I am bad and they know I'm bad. And there were 2 bad people. One was John Wayne and he's dead, brother. And the other one's right here. Nature Boy Ric Flair. The world's heavyweight title belongs to these people. I'm gonna reach out right now. I want you at home to know my hand is touching your hand for this gathering of the biggest body of people in this country, in this universe, all over the world now, reaching out because the love that was given me, and this time I will repay you now because I will be the next world's heavyweight champion on this Hard Time Blues Dusty Rhodes Tour 85. And Ric Flair, Nature Boy, let me leave you with this. One way to hurt Ric Flair is to take what he cherishes more than anything in the world. That's the world's heavyweight title. I'm gonna take it. I've been there twice. This time when I take it, Daddy, I'm gonna take it for you. Let's gather for it. Don't let me down now, because I came back for you, for that man up there that died 10, 12 years ago and never got the opportunity to see a real Wolf champion. And I'm proud of you, and thank God I have you. And I love you. Love you! Oh, oh, oh,
oh. Live from the last of the Action Heroes Podcast Network studios, It's Nothing Worthwhile presents Van Dammit, a podcast about Jean-Claude Van Damme. Here's Evan Moody and Andrew Gruthius.
All right, Van Damme, it is indeed going back in time. Evan Moody live from Phoenix, Arizona. Andrew Gruthius live from Coconut Creek, Florida on today's show. Not hard times, only good times ahead as we're going to take a look at 1994 Time Cop, directed by Peter Hyams and starring our guy Jean-Claude Van Damme, Mia Sara, and Ron Silver. Let's bring him in. Our resident Van Dammeologist, Andrew Gruthius. Groo, how the hell are you, my friend? Did that make you happy? The Huey Lewis?
Yeah, I love this song. Doing great. How are you? Everything is good.
You're a big. Would you consider yourself a pretty big Huey Lewis fan?
A Huey Lewis fan. Now, what is a Huey Lewis fan? Is that someone who knows every song off every album in the order that they're in? If that's a fan, the answer is no. But if you're asking me if I like Huey Lewis and the News and would I see them in concert if given the opportunity, the answer is absolutely.
I feel like Groo, like back when we were younger, he did say like I'm a Huey Lewis fan. I just blew it off. I'd be like, come on, how dare you? But well, I have a begrudging respect for Huey Lewis and the News. Here's my question. They're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Should they be? I don't think
so. Yes. Absolutely. I mean, they have...
I feel like they should be, too.
Yes. I mean, at least... I don't know enough about the history of Huey Lewis and the News or Huey Lewis by himself. I don't know. He might be in. They might... I don't know. I don't know how that whole thing works because I'm not a big enough fan. But the music itself... The album Sports, it's like a hit machine. They also had the album with, Hip to Be Square and Stuck on You. These were all huge MTV radio hits that were all over the place. Yeah. Him and Kenny Loggins are like the go-to soundtrack guys for like the 80s and a lot of the 90s. So, at least Huey Lewis himself absolutely should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and maybe he is. I don't know. I don't check that list, but 100%, yeah.
Yeah, like my thing with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was at one point Huey Lewis like in the mainstream cultural, I hate to use this word, zeitgeist. Like definitely Huey Lewis had a run where he was on top, rock radio, mainstream radio. He definitely. Yeah, because all these Hall of Fames, they're so watered down now. So, I mean, it's like, hey, if you're going to let these guys in, Huey Lewis and the News should be in just as well.
Yeah, well, if you're looking at hits, they had them. But, they look at other things. it's like you think of Huey Lewis and you think of like Power of Love, Back to the Future, the song we were just playing, Back in Time. You don't even necessarily think of their hits, like I Want a New Drug, or what's that song that I like from sports? If This Is It, if this is it,
that's
if
a
this
good
is
song.
it,
Yeah.
and Bad is Bad. I mean, that whole album. People don't. When you say Huey Lewis in the news, they think the soundtracks, the standalone ones. But he's got a discography that's pretty damn impressive. So
Yeah, I think people probably would blow him off as more of a poppy, fluffy kind of artist, but I kind of got a little hip, so to speak, to Huey Lewis. He did later on in his career, like I feel like he did kind of like a soul cover thing too, and I remember listening to some of that, and I enjoyed it.
I think so. But you want to know when you want to know what
like,
plagues him?
Nothing like listening to an old white guy cover, soul. I don't know why, but I remember liking some of the stuff I heard.
You mean like Bruce Springsteen covering Only the Strong
yeah.
Survive? It's the same thing.
Exactly.
You know what I think Huey Lewis's Achilles heel is? That he's like I think he's most well known for his part in We Are the World. He's got like the pivotal part in that song, and he's very known for that. That might be his hindrance.
Please sing for our audience.
All right, so
Huey
it's
Lewis's
like
pivotal part.
His part
is it like Are We Down
bridge.
and Out?
Yeah, it's the bridge.
Okay.
So everyone else is singing "We Are the World" and a better day, and you and me. But he comes in and he's like, "If you're down and out and you need some hope, need no hope at all, and if you just believe, there's nowhere we can fall." Whoa, whoa. And then Cyndi Lauper comes in, "Wow, wow, wow, wow." Well, let's realize the chance can, and then we stand together as one. I mean, it's kind of iconic.
Well, ironically, you mentioning Cyndi Lauper, I believe, because I listened to Hall of Fame radio occasionally on Sirius XM, and they were saying I think Cyndi Lauper has the top online fan picks. I guess they give the fans now a certain amount of leeway with the votes.
I did that actually. I actually did that. You can do that.
You did your civic duty.
I did my civic
God
duty, and
you.
I voted for the fan award in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah,
you are a great American.
Yeah, I remember. I definitely voted for Cyndi Lauper. Definitely voted for Warren Zevon, and I forgot the rest who were on the list.
Okay, well, we got to put that in our notes. Andrew Gruthius voted for the Rock Hall of Fame.
But if Huey Lewis is ever on one of those lists, he's got my vote.
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? All right, Andrew. Before we check out Timecop, let's check out the latest news on our favorite '80s action stars. It's time for Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Van Dammit, Spanning the Universe.
Yes. Van Dammit, of course, is brought to you by New You Life Center. Begin a new you. Check out all of their wonderful laser treatments at www.newlifecenters.com or give them a call at 602-274-0068. At this point, if somebody just contact them, even by Morse code, you'll get 15% off your first service, okay? We don't need Marie sending us messages completely goofing on us.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that New You Life Center is sitting around there like, remember Little Shop of Horrors? They're sitting in the flower shop and nobody's coming in and they keep switching places? Is that what you're saying?
No, thank God they're busy, but
good.
She's like, if you listen to her 100th episode greeting, she was like, the day I get that call saying, "Hey, I heard you guys on, Van Dammit or Nothing Worthwhile," she'll keel over like drop dead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew she was up
Clearly,
to something because.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the amount of profanities in the first 3
minutes. That's
alone.
what I was saying. I was like, she's pissed. Because she does not use foul language, and
no, she's not pissed. She loves it. She loves it.
I was like, she's on fire right now, so we better step up our game.
Yeah, she works on Saturday, and she's like, okay, what time are you podcasting? I'm like, we're a little later this week, 12. She's like, all right, I'll go shopping. Like, she's like, I'll get lost so we could have the quiet house to yourself. So thank you, Marie. And thank you, New You Life Center. Groo, do you want to hear an article? I'll cut it if you do. Jean-Claude Van Damme going over Nowhere to Run at 30 years old.
Absolutely, because I hated that movie so much. I'd love to hear what. Honestly, I would love to hear his thoughts on it 30 years out. Yes.
Okay, so this is from the great website, thespool.net. Of course, you have that. You have that favorite. The Spool.
Oh.
SPOOL.
It's even
I know
worse.
you have that. I know you have it favorited on your Google and everything else, but
100%, absolutely.
they have an article entitled "Nowhere to Run: The Platonic Ideal of Jean-Claude Van Damme."
The platonic ideal?
Well, I mean, this article, I don't know if this is like, I'm saying this kind of jokingly, if this is a gay website but they are absolutely, positively gushing in their praise of Nowhere to Run. And I drew a line, so let me just start from here. I won't read the whole thing. I cut it as much as I could, but it's too long, so I'm just going to say this. The author goes on to say, Van Damme's mild disposition is ideal for the film's romance, as Sam feels his way into Clyde's affections with disarming tentativeness. Again, it's the little things he does that stick, especially those slightly nervous glances with those glassy eyes as the two first size each other up, which give way to wide, protracted gazes. Nowhere to Run separates itself from the rest is how it offers Van Damme a license to swoon. There's some tangible, good old-fashioned yearning in those looks he gives Arquette. Van Damme's charisma might elude some, but if you're turned into specific frequency, his magnetism becomes undeniable. He oozes that aura of cool that seems effortless, not in an obnoxious Seagalian God complex sort of way. There are better Van Damme movies, certainly, and many other fantastic Van Damme performances. For the purest expression of the actor's martial arts mastery, John Woo's masterpiece, Hard Target, can't be topped. For classic 90s action star muscular mayhem, Peter Hyams' sudden death is a more relentless riot. If you ever wanted to see Van Damme doing buddy movie things with Dennis Rodman against a backdrop of absurd storytelling and stylistic experimentation, then Sue Hark's Double Team is more the movie for you. But in a filmography with such exhilarating peaks, Nowhere to Run holds its own, a diminutive, agile little bantamweight kicking way above its class, thanks to that precious sprinkle of Belgian star power, which arguably never sparked brighter here. Groo, thoughts on this very favorable 30-year nostalgic review of Nowhere to Run?
Well,
I'm looking at his face, and it's not disgust, but there is a smirk of smirminess on his face right now.
Well, it's definitely it's definitely a gay website. I mean, they're
maybe
that's fine, but they're more interested in like the drips of sweat from his pectorals than the actual movie. So, I just disagree. I think it's a bad movie. I don't see it anywhere even close to and what exactly is platonic about it?
I feel like the article is saying he's not, in terms of a romantic lead, he's not like an overt bash you over the head. He's able to give nervous glances. He's able to sort of portray himself. I'm really trying to be serious here. Like,
I know you are.
Maybe not in that overt action star kind of way, which is like,
I'd
caveman, smash woman overhead, kiss, and, go kill 15 people and, movie ends on a happy note. That he sort of portrays that vulnerability maybe that this article, the author is, wanting to see, perhaps.
Well, I'll definitely say that in that movie he tried to do that. The movie didn't call for it, and the movie didn't work because of it. It didn't make any sense, and but I'm clearly in the minority. You liked it a lot better than I did, and so did others. I just really was. I don't know. I tend to look at movies these days from a very arrogant perspective. Meaning,
what do you mean by that?
Like I look at them like this could have been so much better instead of accepting it for what it is or what it was. Like I look at it, like I examine it, like, man, like if I was working on this, I would have. It's like a no-brainer what I would do here. Like, and why wouldn't they? So it's kind of annoying because I can't, it probably keeps me from enjoying certain movies that I might otherwise enjoy. My arrogance and snobbiness towards them. So it's just a theory. Well,
Nowhere to Run is definitely an uneven movie. I kind of got hooked with the scenes with Kieran Culkin and some of that family stuff. I thought Van Damme does well, and I think Van Damme, because I'll talk about his acting here in Timecop. I think he's able to emote, and he's not this is going to sound terrible. He's not a bad actor. I mean, and so I fell for some of those pieces, but I think it's a very flawed premise. An ex-con living. I don't know. Even if it was Robert Redford and Meryl Streep, I don't know if I would buy into just some guy sleeping a homeless guy on somebody's farm and them connecting and falling in love. I don't. The premise overall is faulty.
He wouldn't be camping out in a 3-piece Armani suit. That's for sure.
That's true.
But
that is true.
Hey, look, I'm all for websites and doing that kind of stuff, like revisiting movies from the past, and so everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's a good one.
It's just shocking to think, that movie is 30 years old. Kind of makes me feel old.
Well, you know what? Honestly, all these movies are making me feel 30 years are making me feel that way. But the reason is, I think, because it seems like Van Damme has not done anything above the title in a long, long time. So all of these seem ancient. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I think that's something I will talk about a little bit more with Timecop as well.
Okay, good. All right.
Because I think Timecop is a pivotal movie in his filmography. Groo, you want to hear about Stallone and perhaps expectations for him in the new Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie?
Yes, I'm interested to hear about that.
Okay, so well, courtesy of the great film website, thedirect.com, you can see where I'm scraping to find notes on people. They surmise that perhaps there will be a major role for Sly in the new Guardians movie. A new poster for the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 may have revealed a bigger-than-expected role for one Sylvester Stallone. The Hollywood veteran has teased his involvement in Volume 3, posting and then taking down an image of his new costume for the MCU blockbuster. But he has yet to show up in any of the movie's marketing. Stallone has yet to make a trailer appearance. However, Sylvester Stallone may have a bigger-than-expected role in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. If the new theater standee is to be believed. The poster popped up online and features Stallone's name billed next to the sequel's 12 other main actors, including Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, and one Dave Bautista. That has led many to believe Stallone's Stacker Ogard could have a rather significant role in Guardians 3, with Guardians 3 looking like it's going to be the, quote, end of the chapter for this version of the Guardians team. Could this be, elevating Stallone's billing? Could this be the first tease of bigger things to come for his character? Much has been made about Volume 3 being a trilogy ender. Dave Bautista has all but confirmed his MCU run is done. Bradley Cooper's Rocket is looking like he is also not going to make it out of the threequel. I've just heard those rumors as well. If the team is going to continue post-Gunn, then it will need to be replenished with a revitalized lineup. Stallone, Stacker, Ogard could be next up for a promotion to a full-time Guardians team member. Fans will have to wait and see as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes to theaters on May 5th. Groo, do you see Stallone with a major role in Volume 3 and perhaps becoming a new member of a revamped Guardians lineup?
No, yes, and regarding Bautista, unless he's lined up for like the remake of Citizen Kane, I wouldn't be shitting all over the MCU right now.
Okay, well, wait a second now. You stated differently on a podcast because we talked about on Nothing Worthwhile. he had said that he called Drax a silly role, and I had said I thought that was kind of shitting on the role that put him really on the map for the most part post-wrestling. And you were like, well, I think he's talking about the role and maybe the acting. You were looking at it more from maybe an actor's perspective. I thought it perhaps wasn't a great move for him to shit on, Drax the Destroyer, which that role has put him on the map for better or worse.
Well, clearly I've changed my position because
okay, thank you.
because no, seriously, because over the last couple weeks he has been talking about that, and he did an interview which really blew me away, where he was, kind of dissing The Rock in a way, or even Cena, just like saying, I don't want to be as big as those guys, or I don't want to be like. And it reeked of someone who clearly does and is.
But he said that before. He
all right. Well,
I
never really heard that, but and that's fine. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and don't leave the mothership without making sure you have a bridge to climb back on, because. You never know what's going to happen. I don't see Dave Bautista in this day and age, the way movies are, getting to be, getting these meaty acting roles. I would love it. I think he's talented enough. But unfortunately, when you land on a Star Wars level behemoth like the Avengers, you're going to be identified as such, whether you like it or not. So I would hope that he would embrace it and not put any and not put it out to pasture. Regarding Stallone, in that, what I don't think he's got a huge role in the movie. I think it'll probably end up being one of those like cameos at the end, like the credit scenes that'll set up something for his character in the future. I don't think it'll be a lead thing. I just don't think Stallone is. A lead Marvel. I don't. You know what I'm trying to say?
All right, so let me go.
He's past that in his career.
Let me go to Stallone first. Your comments.
All right, go ahead.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. Just simply because he's an older guy. I don't see the business side of it being really that beneficial for Marvel. I think he's not going to be a cameo. But I don't think he's going to be a main player. I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but he'll be like a strong C or B level character in this movie. Perhaps will it lead to other stuff? Yeah, but I just don't. You're going to promote a 70-something-year-old Stallone into a major character, the MCU, and I just don't. I don't know if I would go down that road. That's irregardless of Stallone, ability. I mean, I'm sure he's going to do a wonderful job with this role. To Bautista, I was actually more interested in your comments to Bautista because the things that I have seen on mainstream websites and even YouTube, some people that I listen to once in a while if I have a free moment, they're very high on Dave Bautista and his acting career and his acting skills. Mm-hmm. I've seen guys that I appreciate, Mr. H. Oh my God! There's one guy I watch his movie previews, his reviews all the time. I forget his name. I recommended to him once on one of our other podcasts. But they're very high on this guy, and I think Bautista does come off a bit obnoxious and hoity-toity. But his thing is, I want to be an actor. Like, I'll work for nothing, but let me be in a big role. I don't need to be as big as, Cena and The Rock's acting career. And at this point, I'm kind of turned, The Rock, there was a time where I thought he was going to have, a great mainstream career, but perhaps give us some of those meaty roles that would make me feel a little bit better about him as a fan, And Cena, we'll have to see where he goes. I think I've said before, I think Cena has a bigger upside, but he's going to be in the new Fast and Furious 10. He may go, the same route and just try to cash in on big muscle, big money. So I get it. I've bashed Bautista about that too, but he does have my begrudging respect because the stuff Knock at the Cabin, again, it got mixed reviews, but it's an M. Night movie. That's a big role. He's going to be in the sequel to Dune. That's a big movie.
Wait. The Knock at the Cabin came out already?
Yes.
I'm such a fucking idiot. I want to see that.
Yeah, well, you might get in. It still might be in the theaters, but
man,
it's probably in its third week.
Is it me who's just? I used to be so in tune with everything that was coming and going. Is it just me that stuff is just showing? Like, I didn't even know Ant-Man came out until this morning.
I didn't know Ant-Man came out.
Like
I knew it was
10 years ago.
I
I would have been like, "Oh my God, the new Rambo's coming out in exactly 5 days, 7 hours, and 6 minutes." You know, like I've just completely lost touch.
Well, that's probably for a lot of reasons, but
yeah.
So I think Dave Bautista does have, I think he's got a decent, bright future. He's talked about the next set of roles, keeping a shirt on because he's over 50 now, and he doesn't think he can pull off those straight action muscularity type roles. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I definitely think he's got comedic chops, and I think I'd like to see him more towards that. I don't see audiences accepting him as a true actor.
No, I agree
thespian.
with that. I agree.
But he has shown. I mean, he almost steals the show in Avengers Infinity War when in the scenes with the Guardians. I mean, he's that funny. So, then that takes a lot of chops to be able to do that with the talent that's on that screen with him. So, hey, I hope the best for him. I think he's an incredible talent in many ways. So we'll see.
I'll give you another one. He kind of steals the show in that Blade Runner sequel. He has a really big role early in the movie, and they even did, I think, like a short film on YouTube to set up, like a very short prequel film to set up his character in the Blade Runner universe. And I've seen the Blade Runner. I'm a fan of Blade Runner, so I've seen the sequel a couple of times. Denis Villeneuve is the director.
No, I saw it. He was good. He was good, but he didn't stand out to me as much as he seems to have for you. Maybe I've only seen it once. It's a long one.
It is a long movie,
but maybe I'll give it another chance because I do love that franchise. Absolutely.
Well, Groo, I'm gonna pivot on the Bruce Willis news because what I had read originally was his last movie. The trailer has hit YouTube called Assassin, and it's So obviously we'll pivot, and the world was abuzz with Bruce Willis's family middle of the week announcing that the aphasia diagnosis has moved into more of a cruel, quote unquote, diagnosis with he's been diagnosed with Parkinson's.
No, dementia.
Dementia. And any thoughts? It's the sad news on Bruce Willis.
It's basically just quadrupling down on my thoughts from the aphasia diagnosis, because aphasia was explained to us as something that affects how you receive information. Dementia. Sorry, we know what dementia is. We've seen that, and that robs you of you, and that's heartbreaking. So I it's very little to say that hasn't already been said. I just hope he's, look, the guy has entertained people like us all over the world for the last 30-something years. And, for better or worse, he's definitely had more hits than misses, but that doesn't matter. You hate it when somebody who's worked so hard to entertain so many is, I guess you could say, struck down in not his absolute prime, but certainly before his time was up.
I agree.
And dementia is heartbreaking in and of itself. Compounded with the fact that a incredible career seems to have ended this way. It sucks. It really just sucks. So I hope he's happy. But what else is there to say? It's horrible.
Yeah, nothing more to say in regards to that. You want to hear about Steven Seagal getting involved in a cryptocurrency scam?
That's a great segue into Van Damme. Yeah, So yeah,
All right.
we know how much these guys love each other. So yeah, what ridiculousness is Seagal up to now?
Private detective, courtesy of highstakesdb.com, that great website. I get all my financial news from highstakesdb.com.
Me too.
A private detective turned cryptocurrency promoter used Steven Seagal to fleece investors out of $11 million, has been jailed for 5 years. 58-year-old John DeMar of Santa Ana, California, faced a federal court in Brooklyn for sentencing last week, having pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit securities fraud. The admission was related to a scam perpetuated by DeMar and others who saw them court investors for their cryptocurrency company Bitcoin2Gen, B2Gen, and crypto trading platform Start Options. However, like all these instances, Groo, the millions that were invested didn't go to the investment. They were siphoned off for cars, jewelry, remodeling of the dude's California mansion.
God.
The crypto scam used celebrity endorsements, including some that were fake and some that were paid for. The latter being martial arts movie icon Steven Seagal. Seagal was promised $250,000 in cash and $750,000 of B2Gen tokens for an endorsement, but ended up having to pay a $314,000 settlement Seagal had to pay to the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, for not disclosing his role was paid. Despite DeMar pleading guilty, United States District Judge LaShawn D'Arce Hall refused to show leniency and sentenced DeMar to 5 years in prison and offered him and made him pay over $3 million in forfeiture. United States Attorney Breon Pierce stated of the sentence, DeMar took advantage of those who trusted him, persuaded them to double down on their investments when he knew that this cryptocurrency company and dubious celebrity endorsements were scams being used to fund the lavish lifestyle. Not much more to say, Groo. Yet another knock on one Steven Seagal.
Yeah, I mean, what's he going to do to supplement that income? Oh, wait, he's got a 17-movie deal with Tubi coming up, that direct to Crackle. They're going to be paying him. They're going to be paying him. Hey, you know, this guy.
By the way, that's my favorite line of this podcast. Direct to Crackle.
Yeah, this guy. Oh my God.
He can't buy himself good publicity. I mean,
well, I don't even think he tries. I think he just doesn't. It's clear he hasn't given a shit about anything anybody says or does for the last 25 years, for God's sake, maybe more than that.
Maybe.
But I mean, just the guy just must be a certified loon.
Maybe.
And you know, look, again, if that's what works for him, I just like I said before, I look at things from a potential aspect, and you know, that early stuff about Seagal, I really did enjoy, and there's no reason he couldn't have squeezed out another 10 or 12 of those, but he chose a different path, and one that's obviously gotten him to where he is, and if he's good with that, God bless him. But unfortunately, his legacy will be, especially in the United States, is basically what it is, and that is probably a nice big turd.
Yeah, I heard he's opening for Billy and Stevie on their 8 stadium run.
I'd be more interested in seeing that. He's actually a pretty good musician.
Yeah, well, I have seen some stuff like that. Did you ever see that reality show, like New Orleans Lawman, Steven Seagal?
I mean, I saw one episode and I saw what it was. It was silly, entertaining.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I watched like almost.
Well, I didn't. I only watched one because I said, all right, I get this. This is cool, but it didn't. It's not something that like hooked me. It's not something that like said, oh, I can't wait till the next one. It's like, you know, it was cool to see, and it's one of those things where I feel like if you've seen one, you've seen them all, so there's no reason to. I was a little thrown by the fake New Orleans accent he was putting on, but after like halfway through the episode, it became kind of comical. So I looked at it from that perspective. So yeah, I remember that. I'll always give Seagal a chance, always, because I know how entertaining he can be. I know how much some people on this network like literally despise the very air he breathes, but just because I guess. Well, I don't want to go into that, but
I don't despise, but like
no, I'm not talking about you.
I read. I actually really enjoyed that Seagal Lawman reality show, and then I read maybe like a year later after it got wrapped that like the New Orleans PD and Seagal were sued because they like ran over some guy's private fence. Like I remember the episode. Like they,
God.
Like they ran over it, and whatever. The civil rights were broken.
They broke somebody's fence, but they had no problem with them impersonating lawmen.
I think he was deputized.
I think,
it's almost like an honorary. Like people get an honorary degrray, like a doctorate.
Yes, but you're not going to let those guys into the fucking operating room and operate on your operate on you or your family member, right?
All right, good point. Good point. I stand corrected. Okay, good point. Boy, that was the saddest spanning the universe, perhaps.
Well, look, unfortunately, our guys are getting old. They're getting a little loopy, and but they've earned that right. Isn't it interesting though how from all of these people, the busiest one and like the one sort of grabbing the headlines in good ways is Sylvester Stallone after all these years. Like he's got the hit TV show. He's part of a Marvel franchise. Like he's if you think about it, Bruce Willis, whatever there, but Schwarzenegger's not doing much. Seagal's off the grid. Van Damme is wherever he is, and Stallone is working a lot. He just headlined Samaritan. Even though that wasn't very good. But,
come on.
But he's got a hit TV show. He did Tulsa King. Whether you like it or not, it's a hit. It's coming back. And like I said, they might be setting him up for a long-term future in the MCU. That's a big deal.
Well, I will save my thoughts for Tulsa King for a little bit later in the show and for our future podcasts. Mm-hmm. I will say this notion that he's going to do a reality show with his daughters on Paramount Plus, no bueno.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get that.
No.
I don't know.
I love reality show. I love reality.
What world does he think that that's a good idea? I don't.
Yeah, that's just gonna, to me, that smells money grab and low brow. And for a guy like him, I don't want to see that happen to him because I know how he's going to be portrayed, like the befuddled older dad of three girls running around and with their titty shirts and wanting more money and wanting to drive. And social influencers, and he's just like, Yeah. I just know how he's going to be portrayed, and I rather not see that.
Hi, Dad. Can I get a new Corvette? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I agree
Dad,
with you.
Can you hold this light while I make a 14-second TikTok on my new skin line?
Yeah, is that a thing? Is this actually factually happening?
I mean, I've read it. I can't. We'll have to verify it for the next show. But this is the rumors. I know that's been rumored for sure.
Well, I hope
because
not.
I mean, Paramount Plus, their latest set of commercials. Stallone. It's all around Stallone. They're climbing a mountain shaped like Stallone's face. Have you seen the commercial for Paramount Plus, the newest one? So Stallone's really the biggest draw now. So I mean, I give kudos for that, but like everybody else, you got to be careful with your next project. If you are worried about legacy, and I think if I'm an actor or a musician, I'm worried I wouldn't let it dominate every choice, but I still want to be remembered for good stuff. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand why he would do this, but we'll see what happens.
I got 2 words: Nessum Dorna. Groo, you want to get to some more fun stuff? You want to go over
it's
real
about
quick?
Time we get to some
Chamber?
fun stuff. We've been on this for 45 minutes, so get some fun stuff. Let's go.
All right, Groo, before we get to Timecop, WWE's second major pay-per-view of the year, Elimination Chamber 2023, comes to us tonight from the Bell Center in Montreal, Canada, headlined by a huge championship main event as well as 2 Elimination Chamber matches. So it's going to be on Peacock, 8 p.m. in the good old US of A. So Groo, you ready to go over these matches and make your predictions?
Yeah, and isn't it interesting? Let me ask you one thing, and I have to give credit. Somebody else said this on another wrestling podcast, and it made sense to me.
Screw them.
Does it seem to me? Does it seem to you that every PLE at this point is a big one? Like there doesn't seem to be a B level show anymore. I mean, like. This is huge. Like the ramifications of Elimination Chamber are big, and like it seems like every one has some weight to it. Are you getting that vibe?
Here's what I think. It seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind. I'm sorry. Yeah, and why is that a bad thing? I think
it's not. It's a great thing.
I think they've lucked out with the convergence of storyline and location. That it's going to be a fucking hot crowd tonight, insane, and that main event is going to be insane no matter how it turns out.
Yes,
that crowd at SmackDown last night, they had to edit. I thought there was something wrong with my Hulu. They basically shut the sound off.
They were saying "fuck you, Roman." They were saying "fuck you, Roman."
Yeah, and I was like clicking. I was like restarting it. I'm like, something's wrong.
Yeah,
and
same thing happened to me.
And then I read on a website this morning while I was taking a dump at 7 a.m. I was like, Jet, come on, let Daddy take it. No, I read that it had been edited so badly. So, that's a good thing I think for the WWE. Let's get to the matches. First off, let's start off with right away. I'll go to Andrew first, and then I'll give my prediction. We'll switch off. Let's go to it first, Groo. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. Groo, your thoughts, and who do you got?
This is actually a very difficult one because you have to look at where things are going. And before yesterday, I would have said Bobby Lashley.
You
motherfucker. Well, wait a minute.
Stole my heat.
How do I
go ahead. I know exactly. Because I'm thinking exactly the
same
thing.
All right, so let's do it together. I'm saying that now I think Brock Lesnar is going to win this match because they clearly set up whoever wins this is going to get into a thing with Bray Wyatt. I don't know if I like that yet, but that's another story. And the reason that I say it's going to be Brock Lesnar is because I really think there's some good heat with the Hurt Business coming back with Bobby Lashley. So I think they will be getting involved in something else. So I'm calling this one for Brock Lesnar. And I think this will be the final one between him and Lashley.
It will be. I think the WWE missed an opportunity. It just seemed lackluster. When you put two big guys in there who have legitimate crossover MMA careers, it had been a dream match, so to speak, for years for WWE and wrestling fans, and it just I never really liked the booking of this. I thought it made Bobby Lashley look weak. I'll save my thoughts for another time. I absolutely agree with Andrew. In my notes, I thought they'd give it to Lashley because Brock doesn't need a win to be solidified to anything. But then last night, they come out with Bray Wyatt. And Andrew, I don't want to go on a rant here, but as I was prepping, I don't understand what they're doing with Bray Wyatt. I don't. It's really starting to frustrate me. And last week we said I'm about to move on from The Rock. I've been a big Bray Wyatt fan. When they dropped all those guys, I had no problem with every drop except for Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. This is my one big criticism of the Triple H-led regime. I don't know where they're going. He shows up with Uncle Howdy. Now they're friends. Now he calls out Brock and Bobby. But why? At least tell me why before you call them out. Give me something so it makes sense in my universe of thinking. Just give me something. I don't understand. He just came out and went, "Let me tell you something, Jack Daddy. I want the winner," and and then that was it.
Was that your Dusty Rhodes impersonation?
Yeah, but I mean, basically that's what he did. I want the winner, and you should run. Blip, moth. Cut to commercial. I don't know what they're doing with this guy, and at least tell me, hey, I got it. I've been here for 2 or 3 months. I've been dicking around. I got to step up to the plate now. I want something. I would have been a little bit happier. I don't know what they're doing with Bray Wyatt. I don't like the booking of this. What I will say is it's going to be Brock Lesnar for sure now, and this will really stretch Brock's character. Sure, he's danced with The Undertaker, who had sort of a similar, vague, supernaturally kind of storyline with one foot in reality, one foot out. He'll get something similar now with Bray Wyatt, just a lot younger. And I think Brock, with that new jovial personality, could really fit well, and it could be a nice build. But I don't know what they're doing with Bray Wyatt. And off the bat, of course, I'd love to see Bray and Brock at Mania, but the psychology behind it doesn't make sense, and I'm kind of not into it. They got to make me into it, and that's what I'll say.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. It right now it doesn't make sense, but that doesn't mean that after tonight, it won't. We never know. I do think that Triple H is hitting more than he's missing as the head of creative. So would
you agree that this has been the Brock Lesnar has been kind of a terrible booking so far?
I wouldn't say terrible. I would say they just no. I wouldn't say terrible, because even no matter what he does, he still draws, and nothing really falls flat. Bobby Lashley, I think, has been doing a great job in this thing, especially on Raw.
You don't think the way Brock just came out and went Bobby who. And, that's fun comedy-wise, but it just really shit on. And listen, Brock's either doing what he's been told or nobody's correcting him. But, Bobby Lashley's had a major career. These two stood, and he just went, Bobby who?
Yeah.
And it was okay, it was great, fun television. But if I was Bobby Lashley, I'd be like, yo, you just shit all over my 15-year career.
Yeah,
anyway,
he definitely got. He was really good with. He got him on Monday night, which was I thought really well done. I enjoyed that segment where he kind of baited him into his trap. That was fun. I was Bobby. Bobby. I like Bobby Lashley when it looks like he's enjoying himself. I don't like it when he takes himself too seriously. So that's what I liked about that. He was bringing himself down to Brock's playfulness level.
If they bring the Hurt Business back and they bring back MVP as his mouthpiece, that will be a better look for me for Bobby.
Agreed.
I think Bobby's okay on the mic. I wouldn't want MVP to be the sole mouthpiece. I'd like for him to talk and then give the mic to Bobby and let Bobby get a couple of things in, like Heyman and Brock did.
Yeah.
But I think MVP is golden on the mic, and I think he will help Bobby. And I liked the badass Bobby with a suit and the big aviators and looking like Apollo Creed. That was the Bobby
too.
I thought was the most effective one.
Yeah, I wasn't into the feud between the two. The separate things, like each match in and of itself and the confrontations in and of themselves, they all entertain on a level, but they don't seem to be connected. So I'm glad I'm glad it looks like they're ending this feud and moving in different directions. So that gives me hope. So that's good.
Well, and hope is all that we can
that is right.
Dream about.
Hope
no, I just think I agree. I
just
don't think I think this feud is for the most part underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Groo, let's move on. I'll go on this one. Let's do Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley versus Edge and Beth Phoenix. Well, I think Edge and Finn are going to play this deal out through WrestleMania. The word on the street is perhaps Edge versus Finn, Hell in a Cell, one of the nights at Mania. I know Rhea Ripley is real hot right now, but I'm just going to go with a strict hometown Canadian duo and say Edge and his wife Beth Phoenix take the W here. I'm really not looking into it more than that. I think you're going to end up with Finn versus Edge at Mania, which I think will be a hell of a match. I'm glad to see Finn Balor getting a lot of play on television, but I'll take the hometown favorites, Edge and Bethy, for the win here.
I am going to agree with my esteemed colleague. I think it's going to be Edge and Beth Phoenix. I think Balor is going to have to take the pin here. Because he is, they're definitely not pinning Ripley because she's on her way up, and I think that tonight's match can begin some kind of disruption in the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley. I think Rhea Ripley's got to get out on her own. I think it's time for her to go out on her own, and Dom have to face his father alone. at WrestleMania. So I think so I'm hoping, and I think it seems to me that's the way they're going. Something will happen in the match, or because they have to book them strong. It's the Judgment Day. If they're going to lose,
Agreed.
they still have to look good. And I think the way to do that is to have Balor screw up somehow, take the pin, and then have some kind of old school kind of disruption between the two. I'd be interested in that. That's the way I hope it goes. But either way, definitely calling Edge and Beth Phoenix on this one.
Interesting point about the Judgment Day. If they did do that, which I have not thought of, I'd rather see Rhea break with Dom. I just think that mommy. I think it's entertaining. I want to see a little bit more. I know eventually
I agree.
They'll break it.
I like it. I like it too, but they're not doing. They're not doing enough. But they're not doing
it's
enough.
Fun to see the juxtaposition of a strong, powerful female, kind of with like the chicken shit boyfriend like that. It's fun to me to see. And it's really built Rhea up into this kind of indestructible force because they're able to get her square off against guys once in a while and make her look golden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, now I like that this has helped Don build himself up as like the tough prison dude. So now it's almost like he doesn't need his bitch anymore. He's hard. He's gotten hard. So now I can go up against my old man myself, bitch. Like I could see that kind of thing. There's a lot of different things they could do with this. I hope that it's not your typical straightforward, clean win. And is it weird as a wrestling fan to say that? I want to see a schmoz. Does that make sense?
Here's where it fits. You're going, intergender tag. So this kind of fits maybe a schmozzy ending.
Yeah, but does it make sense that's what I'd rather see?
If you're saying a schmoz ending, then that kind of favors the Judgment Day because they got extra people to run down there unless Rey Mysterio gets involved on the other side.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean a schmoz that definitely that does not end up in a decisive win for Edge and Beth, simply because the real story here is Finn and Rhea. There's really, Edge pretty much just came back from wherever he was. So, the connection between him and the Judgment Day was gone a long time ago. So, the story here, the interest here really lies with Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor, I think. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think Rhea Ripley for sure. I mean, I think Finn has definitely benefited. They've all benefited, but the star here, or the up-and-coming star for sure is Rhea Ripley out of these four. So, all right, Groo, we'll go to Andrew first on this one. Asuka versus Liv Morgan versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Nikki Cross versus Natalya versus Carmella. Groo, it's the Elimination Chamber match for the Raw Women's Championship. It's the number one contendership. Winner facing Bianca Belair at, WrestleMania. So what do you got?
Well, the funny thing is we shouldn't even talk about this one that much because it's so painfully obvious that Asuka is going to win this. So much so that, and I want her to win. It's her time. But it's so obvious, and I so want her to win that I almost don't. So it surprises me because this, to me, there really doesn't seem to be any other way other than to have Asuka win this match, set up the match at Mania with her and Bianca. And that's what it should be. And she should win the title. She's been around for a while. She always delivers. This is her moment. I don't see, and looking at the rest of the field, I see some great, rising stars, but I don't think anybody is at the readiness level that Asuka is at. So I'm going for Asuka all the way on this one.
So I will. I'm sticking with my pick, but after SmackDown last night, I'm going to add just one other thought. So, looking at the field, you're going to take out Nikki Cross, Carmella, and Natalya. They got no shot. That leaves me Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan. Mm-hmm. You take out Liv Morgan, she's just too damn cute, and maybe a little bit too tiny to match up. That leaves Asuka and Raquel Rodriguez. If this is 2024, I'm picking Raquel Rodriguez. But
yes.
It's 2023. And it's a bit too soon for Double R Very talented young lady with a bright future, but it's time to give Asuka ass-kicking Asuka, not dancing, making broken English jokes. Ass-kicking Asuka, time to shine here. Book it. I agree with Andrew. Asuka versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship in LA. But I will say this. Watching last night Asuka versus Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan has got all the makings of a star. She took a loss, and somehow I'm even more fascinated. She looks, look, I'm a guy, beautiful, stunning beauty. Yeah. She sells all, and you know what? She is a little undersized, but she matches up well. I think really she is a future star if they book it. And so again, if it was 2024, Raquel Rodriguez, but I agree with Andrew, Asuka versus Bianca Belair at Mania. So we are the same there. All right, I'll go here first. Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship. We got Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Johnny Gargano, our good friend from Epcot Center.
Disney Springs is where we saw him.
Disney Springs.
But you spotted him. I would never have spotted him. You spotted him.
Yes, thank you. Bronson Reed versus Damian Priest versus Montez Ford. All right, Gru, obviously right off the bat, only two names stick out here for me. It's Theory and Rollins. It's going to come down to these two. Rollins is reportedly set for Logan Paul, and he doesn't need a belt for this one. So I'm booking Austin Theory versus the returning John Cena for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. These Elimination Chambers, they're pretty easy to see through. Asuka's a lock, and I think Austin Theory is a lock on the men's side. What do you got?
There's really nothing more to say because you stole my heat. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Austin Theory should and will win to set up exactly what you said, the Cena match at Mania, while Rollins goes the way of Logan Paul, which I still don't understand. They're not really. Does that mean he's going to be somewhat involved in the match tomorrow night, Logan Paul? Because otherwise, they haven't been doing anything. Like
I don't see it. I don't see him traveling all the way to Canada. I don't see it, but you never know. You never know.
And there's been no.
But they've been apparently. I'm not a big social media guy, but they've been apparently trading some barbs on. I don't know.
Well,
Instagram
fine, but that's
whatever.
but you got to do that on TV because if it doesn't happen on TV, you got to see it. But I've heard the same things you have, and even if we didn't, it still makes sense. I'm sorry, it still makes sense. So so we are in agreement on the first four. And what about the?
Well, here's what I will say on the Elimination Chamber for the men's. I think Austin Theory. If I had to say one guy getting a shine here, I'll say Montez Ford. For the women's side, I'll say Liv Morgan. So they'll both be eliminated, but I say Montez gets a good run, and I say Liv Morgan gets a good run on the women's side.
Okay, there's no reason for me to argue with that.
All right, Gru, we'll throw it to you for the first one, the big one, and this is a big one for the Unified WWE Championship. Roman Reigns, the champ, versus Sami Zayn in his hometown of Montreal. Gru, give me some details. How is it going to play out, and who do you got?
Well, isn't it cool that the main event, the championship match, is the toughest one to call for me anyway? I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay.
So it's not the toughest one to call, but it should be the toughest one to call, and here's why. Every single logical sign that the WWE is giving us is pointing to Sami Zayn winning the title tonight. From the Montreal thing to the Cody promo, putting him over on Monday, to making such a huge deal out of this whole thing. I'm not even thinking about WrestleMania. I'm thinking about what they're trying to tell us. And it's just so obvious that that's what they want us all to think. So obviously what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to book Sami Zayn to the point where he comes within a millimeter of winning the title. But there's some schmoz. I think it will end up with Jey Uso coming into it's going to seem like he's there to save Sammy, but he's going to end up turning on Sammy because this bloodline thing cannot end. So I think that will be the difference in the match. I do believe Roman Reigns will get the win to retain the titles. But I do see now. Here's the toughest part. We know that if that happens, okay, the bloodline is going to be beating the crap out of Sami Zayn. The question is, who comes out? Is it Kevin Owens or is it Cody Rhodes? Probably Kevin Owens, because that means that they're probably setting up the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Usos storyline. So how I feel about all this,
or maybe both.
Maybe, but how I feel about all this, I'm not sure. But I love the fact that they can have Sammy win tonight and make it work. They're just not going to, because every single 5 seconds on these broadcasts, 892 days, 946. It's not that big a fucking deal. But they're making it.
I absolutely strongly disagree with you on that.
Why?
Point.
Think that
because
you
have not listened to me or listened to this podcast. We're in the modern era of wrestling. We're in the modern era of no long-term memory. We're in the modern era of YouTube clips, cuts. The championships, essentially, after Hulk Hogan left, have been ping-pong for the most part. And to have a guy, however propped up, to hold it for, we're talking about a 3-year period now, in 2023 is insane for the WWE. We've had guys who they lose 3 times in one night, the belt. And so for them to hold on to it, whoever they go with, whenever it happens, and we'll talk about it more as we go to WrestleMania, it's a major deal. And that's how it should be when somebody loses a belt. It's how it should be in boxing. That's how it should be in wrestling. It should mean something. That's why in NXT I've been talking about, they've done better long-term booking sometimes than their mainstream counterparts. And when Asuka held the belt, the women's belt, for a year and 14 months, when she lost to Bayley and then Asuka went up to the main, or whatever it is, it meant something to me as a fan. It's going to mean something to me whether I agree with it or disagree with it. And so on your point of that they're putting out there Roman Reigns, I think it is a big deal. We've not seen this in a very, very long time, perhaps not since the days of Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino. Superstar Billy Graham has a champion held the belt for a multi-year run. We've not seen this.
Okay, I'll give you that. I just do you think it's a little overkill the way they push it? Because it's not just with them now; they're doing it with the Usos too. That's awesome too. I mean, I know. I'm just saying it seems manufactured. But the way they advertise that thing makes the whole thing seem more manufactured. That just bothers me.
Okay, so here's the thing with Sammy and Roman. It's wrestling. It's all manufactured.
It's real to me, damn it.
But no. You didn't let me finish. If I'm being serious, it's perhaps not the ending. It's how are they going to get there? That's the interesting part to the fans. So I agree with you. And here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to read my notes verbatim. We could talk about Sammy all we want. This is going to be a great match with a lot of twists and turns. And I agree with my partner's point. Sami Zayn will take it to a millisecond of winning the championship. It's going to play out like a Shakespearean play. And I think if we get the Usos, Jey Uso will ultimately show loyalty to the bloodline and break Sammy's heart. This is going to be a very exciting match. It could be violent, dare say maybe even blood, but book it. There's no way Roman Reigns is not heading into Mania as the champion versus Cody Rhodes, whether we like it or not. That's your main event. Book it. Hard times indeed. Roman Reigns will be walking out of Montreal as your champion.
Agreed. I agree. It's just interesting to me. So now that we've covered all of these.
So my thing is, Groo, here, just real quick.
Yeah,
we know we both agree Roman's going to win, but how they get there is going to be the fun part as a fan.
Hell yeah! I can't wait to see this match. I cannot wait. I am so excited. Actually, every match that you just talked about, I actually have plans tonight. And
I'm taking Marie out for dinner at 5:30,
I have plans tonight.
7:30.
I'm going out with our friends D Nice, Wendy, Wendy. And we're going out to dinner. There's a live band there, and I'm actually kind of pissed because I want to see. I can't wait to see everybody, and we're gonna have a great time. But it's gonna be hard for me not to check Twitter for the results. But I gotta do it. I'm gonna try so hard not to, because the second I get back, I am I'm putting it right on from the beginning, and I'm
here's
not
what
looking
I'll
at
do.
anything. But here's the thing, though.
Well,
go ahead.
Real quick on a personal note, I'm going out with Marie. We're going to celebrate Valentine's Day at, by the way, Tommaso's, the best Italian restaurant in Phoenix. When I get home, I'll text you though. If you're not home, because we could live text if we're watching the show together. But if you're still busy or I'm still busy, I'll wait until we'll share our thoughts for another time.
I expect to be home by. I expect to be home by about 10 p.m. your time.
All right,
so that should work out.
My time.
So, no, 10 p.m. your time, meaning 12 o'clock my time.
Oh, fuck, I'll be in third hour sleep by then. Are you kidding me?
What time are you getting back from your Valentine's Day dinner?
Come on, you're the guy who said that if you went to the bank, you had to take a nap. Come on.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to do when we're done here. But anyway, so what I want to ask you, though, all right, so each of these 5 matches.
By the way, is this a Van Damme podcast?
Well, we'll talk about Timecop for a little bit.
Timecop.
Well, hey, I don't want to get into that. I was going to say, so now if you look at these 5 matches, okay, each one is designed, the way we've predicted it, each one is designed to set up a specific road to WrestleMania. It all fits so beautifully and so neatly, correct? Literally every single one has the obvious path, and we basically, with our picks, we played it safe. Right?
Okay. I would agree with
that. So let's agree on that.
that.
The question is the WWE and Triple H going to play it safe tonight? Are they going to surprise us with something, something that we're not expecting that would change? Because if you change any of these results, it changes the field, it changes the path to WrestleMania for whatever. So will they play it safe? That's the question.
So here, I feel the 2 big men's matches, the main event and Elimination Chamber, are locked. I don't see them deviating from Theory and Roman Reigns.
Okay.
If you're going to talk about surprising, I could possibly see it, possibly with Brock and Bobby. That would probably be my 3rd lock. You could maybe see, Finn and Rhea, Edge, Beth, perhaps. And the women's chamber, perhaps. Mm-hmm. Asuka maybe getting disrespected and somebody else, going over. That would be, perhaps I would say as a fan, some movement to surprise me. But I think the 2 matches are locks. I think once Bray Wyatt came out and made the challenge, I think Brock's a lock in my eyes. And so perhaps the women's chamber and perhaps the intergender tag team, you might have some a different path.
Maybe an Andy Kaufman run-in for the intergender.
Ooh, well, they got to prop him up, get him some vitamin C shots or something. All right, Elimination Chamber tonight, and we'll pick it up on our next podcast to see where we're at. Andrew, we are here to talk about Timecop, which is a 1994 American, science fiction action film. Directed by Peter Hyams, co-written by Mike Richardson and Mark Verheiden. The film is based on Timecop, a story created by Richardson, written by Verheiden, and which was appeared in the anthology comic Dark Horse Comics. I've read some Dark Horse comics, and so I did not know that. There's a comic franchise, a Timecop franchise on Dark Horse Comics. Doesn't surprise me given sort of the storyline. In any event, today's Van Dammit podcast, Timecop, is brought to you by New You Life Center. Meet the New You team at www.newyouLifeCenters.com. You can check out their photos and biographies on the team. That's Marie, Dr. Cynthia, and Nurse Brittany at the New You website. You can follow New You Life Center on Instagram at New You Life Center. Take advantage of their specials and monthly giveaways. Check out all of their medical weight loss programs. Give them a call at 602-274-0068. You can Morse code them at New You Life Center and get the big 15% off your first service.
Morse
New You
code?
Life Center, Phoenix premier med spa for Botox, fillers, lasers, aesthetics, weight loss, hormone optimization, and pro wrestling loser fans. A big Van Damme thank you to New You Life Center. Mike Richardson wrote a 3-part story titled Time Cop, A Man Out of Time, that was included in the launch of the Dark Horse Comics anthology series in 1992. As we said, Richardson developed the story. I was actually familiar with Dark Horse Comics because they're the ones that did the Aliens vs. Predator crossover comic before it actually came on film. And I was a big fan. So I used to I remember in Binghamton when I was, when we had days off and we went to the comic book store, I'd buy they would have the, all right. Anyway, the Aliens vs. Okay.
Look, the source material is always interesting to look at.
Peter Hyams, the director of Time Cop, said the following to Empire Magazine, quote, "It wasn't at all planned from the beginning that I would make 2 films with Jean-Claude Van Damme back to back. I was approached to do Time Cop, and I love the auspices. Producer Larry Gordon was involved with it. Moshe Diamant was a terrific producer. I thought there was no Jews in Hollywood."
This is not a Mel Gibson movie.
Right. Oh!
Sorry, Seagal.
Sam Raimi was involved. It was a really clever story. I thought it was a chance to make the best Van Damme movie ever made. I said yes, and we made it. It was clear that it was going to be a hit because it reviewed through the roof every time. There was never any question that we would do a Time Cop 2. I would have never have agreed to that. The last thing you want to do is repeat yourself. That would be awful. Groo, any thoughts on that quote from Peter Hyams? Are you familiar with Peter Hyams, the director?
I actually am. He directed a movie that I absolutely love and still to this day, a movie called Running Scared with Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, a buddy cop movie from the mid-'80s.
And really I believe I saw that. I think I saw that with you.
Probably. That's a really solid action comedy. He's got some other ones. I think he directed a mystery with Cher and Dennis Quaid called Suspect, about a lawyer and a juror. That was interesting. I think that was Peter Hyams, and he directed Sudden Death, which is a Van Damme movie that I guess I'm going to spoil. Let's just say I'm looking forward to that Van Damme.
Well, that would be the next one.
Right, that would be our next one. Familiar. When I saw that Peter Hyams directed this, I was my expectations were heightened. Absolutely.
Would you like to hear some more about Peter Hyams? I have some stuff.
Yes, I'm interested.
And by the way, for Running Scared, was that "Shine Sweet Freedom"?
Shine the light on me. Yes, that was the right where I wanna be. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines as hardened Chicago cops.
It's a very funny movie. Have you ever seen it?
Roller skating.
You've seen it.
I think I saw
roller
it.
Skating. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What the hell? Yeah, roller skating in Key West. It's great. Yeah.
Peter Hyams was born in New York City, New York, the son of Ruth and Barry Hyams,
the son of a plumber,
who was a theatrical producer and a publicist on Broadway. His son, John Hyams, is also a film director. Peter Hyams studied art and music at Hunter College.
Hunter, that's in New York City.
Syracuse University, before working as a producer anchorman for WHDH-TV during 1966 while working for a CBS-owned station in New York.
103 WHDH-TV.
Yes, he served 3 months as a news correspondent in Vietnam.
Wow.
During his time with CBS, he began to shoot documentary films. He moved to L.A. in 1970, where he sold his first screenplay, T.R. Baskin, to Paramount Pictures in 1971. He made his directorial debut with an ABC Movie of the Week for Aaron Spelling, Rolling Man, 1972, starring Dennis Weaver. Let me give you here. I'll just go right to his filmography. 1978 Capricorn 1, which I believe was a conspiracy moon kind of thing.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it as a little kid. Very pleased to see this because this is a very cultish favorite science fiction movie starring, oh my God.
What's it called? And I'll tell you.
Outland, the first James Bond. Who played
Sean Connery?
Sean Connery, yeah. It's like a Western themed
Outland,
it supposedly
that's
has
what
connections.
It's called?
Yeah, it has connections
Never heard
to
of
the Alien. Oh, it's great. 1983 Star Chamber.
Michael Douglas.
1984 2010, the year we made contact.
That's a good one. John Lithgow, good movie. Sequel to 2001.
Yep, 1986 Running Scared.
Mm-hmm.
1987 The Monster Squad. I don't know anything about that.
Don't remember that one.
1988 The Presidio.
Yeah, Mark Harmon and Sean Connery and Meg Ryan.
Wasn't that Susudio?
Presidio.
1994 Time Cop.
Mm-hmm.
1995 Sudden Death.
Okay.
1997 horror movie. I remember seeing this, The Relic.
Yes, I remember that one. No, so that movie
1990
Suspect. I guess it wasn't him.
That
would have been earlier. It would have been in like 1988.
Let me tell you, I edited some of these down, so I don't know if this is exactly. I didn't do every single. 1999 End of Days.
Schwarzenegger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
2001 The Musketeer. 2005 A Sound of Thunder.
Okay, so
that's
he's
about.
So he's drifting off into retirement at that point. I don't know that one.
2005 Universal Soldier Regeneration.
Okay, is that one of the ones that Van Damme was in?
I think so. Yes.
I'm not that familiar with the franchise past the first one.
2009 Beyond a Reasonable Doubt.
I think I saw that. I don't remember much about it, but I remember the title, and I think I saw that. So, look, the guy's got hits and misses just like everybody else, but we know that he can deliver a good movie because he's done it.
Is Peter Hyams, you think he's best known for that 2-movie run with Van Damme? Because I feel like The Presidio, was that a really good, like a really good reviewed, like
I don't think
culturally...
it was. No, I don't think it was well received, but I think it was popular. I think it was a modest hit. I think, honestly, I didn't even know.
Like I'm looking at, like, he did 2010, and then he's doing 2 movies with Van Damme. Is that a step up or a step down?
Well, at the time, Van Damme was hot. We're talking early '90s. And I'm guessing you're gonna have me try to guess the budget and the box office. I remember this movie. I'll do that later, but I remember this movie being a hit.
I don't think I. Well, I could look it up on my phone. I don't think I pulled the budget, but I definitely have the gross, the international.
But I remember this movie being somewhat of a hit. But I didn't know he directed it until I actually watched the movie. So I was surprised. So I would say that to me, this guy's crowning achievement is Running Scared, because that's a movie that still gets quoted today. That people, fans of the genre, have a great deal of respect for. You can't find. Among the people who've seen it, you can't find many people who dislike it. It's just a pleasant, fun, good movie. So I would call that the high watermark for Peter Hyams. Without talking about this yet, because I haven't given my review of this of Timecop.
Okay, let me fix. Okay, so Groo, let's look at the cast of Timecop. Obviously, Jean-Claude Van Damme as Walker, Mia Sara as Melissa, Ron Silver as Macomb. Bruce McGill as Matuzak.
Yes.
Gloria Rubin. Gloria Rubin's a pretty big name, too. Fielding. And then we have Scott Bellis as Ricky, Scott Lawrence as Spoda, and Jason Schambing as Atwood. Gru, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Mia Sara, Gloria Rubin, Ron Silver, Bruce McGill. Gru, another pretty deep lineup for a JCV. I mean, they doing the same deal again?
Oh, yeah. They are surrounding him with the best character actors they could find. And those guys always deliver. And this movie is no exception. Ron Silver is, he's a terrific. He does a terrific job as that character. He's a great villain, just a smarmy fucking douche. And especially when there are two of him. And Bruce McGill is he overdoes it a little bit, but he's always.
See, I liked his performance here.
Yeah, he was a
little
great. Yeah, I did too, but it just kind of I don't know. He seemed like he was like overselling, but
he's like Matuzak, you're walking. He's like, yes, since I've been 2 years old. I thought that was
and he's got he had another great line that I really liked. I forgot it. It was so great, but no, he's always he's one of the most dependable guys in Hollywood. Not as familiar with Gloria Rubin, but you could tell she was very seasoned. She was not a cookie cutter performance. She was doing a good job. And Mia Sara, of course, in her first career, was Ferris Bueller's girlfriend. And
yes.
So far, I'm really enjoying this second career.
What do you mean second career?
Well, I mean, she.
Am I missing something here?
Well, she likes to reveal things in her second career that she didn't really reveal in her first career. And I found that quite entertaining, especially early on in this film. Strikingly early on, but no, very impressive. Definitely an impressive cast. Very similar to the kinds of actors that they always try to get for Van Damme. That's why they call it a supporting cast.
Okay. Gloria Rubin. I think she was either in the L.A. Law or. St. Elsewhere. I mean, she's a big TV. She had a big TV run on a mainstream show.
Let's cheat a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. Check her out for me because I got my
Gloria Rubin. Put it in the Google.
Where was she on?
Gloria Rubin was born in. Oh no, we don't want to do that.
I just want to see what's her. Was she on a big TV show?
She was on. Oh my God, they make it so difficult now. That's enough with the pop-ups. She was in Lincoln. She was in The Equalizer recently.
Like old school.
All right. I got to go back down to the bottom here. A lot of credits. She's got a lot of credits. Let's go back to the beginning and see. Time. All right. Should we start around Timecop or should we go earlier?
No, go. I don't know. I'm looking for a TV. I know she was
not much going on. She was China Beach. She was in China Beach. 21 Jump Street.
That's a big show.
21 Jump Street.
Big show.
Silk Stockings. Yeah, we like that show. All right, let's go. Timecop. Homicide. She was in Homicide.
Okay.
Nick of Time. She's one of those dependable, truly dependable, tough female actresses who. And this part was perfect for her. So,
all right.
and she did a very good job.
Timecop's runtime is 1 hour 39 minutes, which is, I checked, 5 minutes more than Jean-Claude's previous film, Nowhere to Run. Timecop is rated R, including violence, profanity, nudity, and one brief sexual situation.
Nudity.
Of course, the plot for Timecop: Max Walker, an officer for a security agency that regulates time travel, must fend for his life against a shady politician who is intent on changing the past to control the future. You want to do some movie fun facts?
Sure. I just want to know. I want to know with the name Max Walker, who was this movie actually written for? Because it definitely wasn't Van Damme. I mean, Max Walker. Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, they could.
Well, did you not like the fact that they didn't come up with he's a visiting Canadian Mountie, and it just
don't insult my intelligence by giving the guy I don't know. It seems like that's what they always do, and it's not just for this one. It's for Stallone's movies. That they could do so much better than these ridiculous names.
Would you have felt better if it was like Ivan Dobakazi?
Give me a Belgian name. That's what he is. You do it. But whatever. It's okay. It's a pet peeve.
All right, cue up the fun facts.
We don't have a fun facts thing.
Don't we have movie fun facts? Didn't we have a little jingle? Didn't you do something?
No, we've never had a fun facts.
Yes, we have. You know, you're lying.
If we do, I don't know where it is.
All right. Well,
okay. I don't remember one of those.
Yeah, you did a thing. You did it. Movie fun facts. Good.
Maybe. I don't know where.
Oh
it is.
Lord.
I'm sorry.
Oh Lord. Craig said our production was vastly improved. All right. I remember actually seeing this and calling BS on this a little bit. At the end of the movie, when the C4 is set for 2 minutes, 18 seconds, it goes for more than 30 seconds longer for exploding in the house.
Yeah.
Like he's walking down the stairs and there's 8 seconds left. And I'm like, oh, this guy's toast. And he like runs out and he's all the way in the street before it explodes. And he goes, oh,
yeah.
His wife's in his hands.
That's a world record for a 100-yard dash right there.
Yeah. Let's see here. At the end of the movie, all right, this is what some people wrote. You could, if you want to bail on this, I cut down a lot of it because a lot of the viewers' points are with the whole time loop thing and calling bullshit on that. And I do agree that these time loop movies are difficult to follow, and just the nature of it offers a lot of plot holes. Somebody writes, at the end of the movie, Walker is surprised when his son comes out to greet him as he arrives home. Since the timeline had been altered in the final showdown with McComb, he should have known that he had a son. Exactly.
Well, he should. No. He should have known. Yes, he should have known that he had a son once it was clear that Tess survived. Because he had found out that she was going to tell him that she was pregnant. So once the whole thing, once he changed everything and Tess survived, he should not have been surprised.
What do you mean, Melissa? His wife, Melissa.
Melissa. Tess.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's Timecop 3.
No. You're gonna laugh when we get to what are we watching. So yeah, Melissa, Mia Sara. So yeah, I agree with that. It's look, they wanted to pack an emotional punch there at the end, so they took a liberty. I don't mind it.
Hold on,
it's okay.
1 second. Chatbox AI, can you write me a song about Gianna Michaels?
They do not do that because Chat GPT does not do. Anyway, yeah.
All right. Final fight, his home is blown to shreds in a huge fireball. He rests his pregnant wife in the front yard on top of his unconscious self. When he returns back to his time period, he goes home. He now meets his now living wife and son in the same house. Problem, in that timeline, his house was totally destroyed. He returns to a pristine house. Guess they rebuilt it using the same paint color. Oh.
No, come on. No. At this point in time travel movies, they're looking at it as the way time travel's supposed to work. Okay? And that's with different timelines. This movie did not. This is like the Back to the Future kind of thing. It's one timeline, and whatever happens in the past affects the future. That's not the way time travel is supposed to work, but that's the way and they explain this in Avengers Endgame. They actually name drop Timecop. Remember that scene where Hulk is talking to Rhodey and he's like saying, that's not how time travel works. And he's like, no, if you change something in the past, it changes the future. Where'd you hear that? He's like, Back to the Future, Timecop, Hot Tub Time Machine. He starts rattling off all of these time travel movies. And what they explain to him is that that's not the way it works. The way it works is when you fuck with the past, that becomes your new future. You don't come back to a changed timeline. You've now created a new timeline. That's not what's being done in Timecop. What's being done in Timecop is one linear timeline where if you fuck with something in the past, it immediately has future ramifications. Does that make sense?
I'm so confused. I have a headache. I need Tylenol. When he goes back to his timeline at the end of the movie, his wife acts like she has no idea why he is so emotional to see them. In reality, she would have remembered that his future self had gone back in time to save her and her unborn child. That's listed as a factual error.
Okay. It's not something that. See, the ones of these that mean something to me are the ones that I catch when I'm watching it. And this one I did not catch, so it doesn't. To me, it's not a big deal.
During the Senate meeting to discuss establishing the TEC, references made to 1863 gold bullion stamped Confederate States of America and date verified using carbon dating. But carbon isotope ratios cannot be used to date gold bullion because there is too little carbon present in bullion to measure.
That's an anachronism, and I really don't care about those.
Sorry about that.
No. No, it's good that you bring it up.
I should have deleted that, but
no. But a lot of anachronisms appear in every movie.
I just want to say gold bullion.
Gold. Congratulations.
The characters repeatedly state that the same matter cannot occupy the same space. That was used many times in Timecop when time traveling, which means that time travelers cannot physically touch past versions of themselves without suffering fatal consequences. The problem with this logic is that this would not result in matter occupying the same space because it is physically impossible for this to actually happen. When two people touch each other, they are not occupying the same space. They are just very close to each other. But no matter how close two people can get, the atoms that make up their physical bodies will never occupy the same space as one another. Scientist Andrew Gruthius, what do you say to that? Okay, thank you.
That's ridiculous. Somebody actually took time to... It's Timecop. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. What? Come on. Good. All right. So, all right. Good for them. So they didn't like the movie because you can't. I thought that was a cool plot device. Actually, I actually thought that was something that I hadn't seen in other time travel movies. So I actually liked that. That interested me.
Okay.
So I don't care if it's a fuck up.
When Walker visits Felding at the hospital, she asks, "Why did you come back?" There is no reason for her to have assumed that he went to the present and then returned. Since he was already there when she was shot, she would have assumed that he stayed.
Okay.
Well, here's what I would say. She tries to kill him, and then he goes to the hospital, and she's just like, "Oh, hi. Why did you come back?" I didn't.
That's what she meant. She meant what? She meant, "Why would you want to see me again?" I was completely threw you under the bus. You know, what the hell are you doing here? That's what I took that to mean, not why'd you come back from the past. So, I don't file that as an error.
Okay. Do you want to take a gander at the budget for Timecop?
Yes, because this is something that interests me because this was, what was it? Was it Warner Brothers? But was it Warner Brothers?
I think he's in the middle of a 3-picture deal with Sony.
All right, so anyway, whatever company had the logos, it obviously meant that it was a step up. It was like Warner Brothers or one of the big ones. It wasn't like Joe's Movies and Tuna Fish.
A24.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't one of those. So I expected the budget to be high, and I was actually a little thrown by the fact that it had a B-movie feel. The special effects were not what they should have been or could have been. So I'm going to be very conservative with the budget here, and I'm going to say it doesn't look like they spent... I mean, they got a top-notch cast. Maybe that's where all their money went. So maybe I'm going to say like $20 million. Like that's what it seemed like. It seemed like a cheaply made movie.
I have $27 million as the budget for Timecop.
Okay, so I'm a little off, but
you're close.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Do you agree that that it didn't have an expensive movie feel?
I am going to agree with your expectation. Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to save it. Trying to save it for my overall.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying that's what I observed.
Okay. But when you see that opening sequence like Civil War era times, it's definitely eye-catching for a Van Damme movie. Like, you know right away this is going to be something different. This is not going to be a chop-socky film. You're getting something different here. Now, whether or not it worked for you or for me, we'll find out in a few minutes. But you're differentiating yourself right off the bat.
Well, Evan, when I saw that, and that was the opening scene of the movie, no context, nothing, except we obviously know when it is and what's happening. I loved it. I was like, all right,
yes.
This is different. This is surprising. Not what I was expecting at all. The possibilities with this are absolutely endless. So let's go. I was very excited by that opening scene.
You want to give a gander? I can give you U.S. and then what it made overseas and the total gross. You could go to any number.
I'll take a guess at U.S. because it's very difficult for me to predict overseas. You never know what countries it actually came out in. So I'm just going to stick with U.S. I remember it being a surprise hit, and not just successful. I mean a hit. And if I were to say that this might be Van Damme's or one of his biggest hits, I feel like it might have been. I'm going to say a hit in that era meant
94.
A hit. If you hit $100 million in that era, it was considered a hit. So I'm just going to stick with that round number of 100 million. I think they hit 100 in the States.
Okay, this is what I have, Andrew. I have 45 million take in the U.S.,
wow.
57 million other territories for a total worldwide gross of 101 million.
All right, so my wrong place, right number.
What I have is open the week of September 16th, 94, ranked number 1 with an over 12 million take. Second week ranked number 1, the week of September 23rd, over 8 million take, down 32%. The week of September 30th, it slipped to number 2, more than 5 million take, down 33%. So it fell fairly precipitously from week 1 to week 2 and so on.
Yeah, I remember it being more popular, but it still made more money than Private Parts.
Yeah, let's bash Howard Stern some more.
We always got to throw one in there.
Take that, Craig Hassenbein.
Yeah.
How dare you? It sure did. It sure did.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Groo, what did the critics have to say about Timecop? I'm actually very interested to hear Andrew's thoughts. You want to give a gander at the tomato meter on the critical and the audience score? You want to give a little number?
Yes. For the tomato meter,
I'm
going to say I don't think the critics were very kind to this. I'm going to say it's probably hovering in the 30% realm. And I'm going to say audiences were a little kinder, but probably not that much. I'm going to say audience 60%.
60, you say?
For audience.
Okay. I have 42% tomato meter based on 45 critical reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Audience score 36%, lower than the critical, based on 50,000. That's never good, right? I mean, both scores are about 5 percentage points higher, though, than Nowhere to Run. I had my old notes, so when I'm redoing my new notes, I see the previous podcasts. So Nowhere was about 5% less for both audience and critic.
Well,
so
it's interesting how these two movies, and maybe it's a pattern that critics are liking Van Damme's movies more than audiences are.
Maybe not a good thing.
No.
Groo, let me give you a couple of clips from top critics. Gene Siskel from the Chicago Tribune said, quote, Van Damme is only compelling when he takes his shirt off. Yeah.
Boing.
William Thomas of Empire Magazine, this brainless romp is a real blast. Brian Lowry from Variety says, for the most part, Hyams' lackluster direction and the repetitive quality of the action sequences squander an intriguing premise and impressive production design, leaving us a few moments that elicit that sort of wow response such fare needs in order to brose. Jonathan Rosenbaum from the Chicago Reader, science fiction specialist Peter Hyams doubling as usual as director and cinematographer, leaves his record for mediocrity unblemished in this silly time travel tale. That's kind of mean. Jeff Andrews, how dare you? Jeff Andrews from Time Out says, Hyams is no stranger to large-scale sci-fi, so his management of the massive sets and slightly mechanical effects is more than adequate. And finally, Janet Maslin from the New York Times says, years of tireless persistence has begun to work in Mr. Van Damme's favor. It's hard not to enjoy his energy, even if his acting gifts still leave a lot to be desired. Andrew Groothius, the proverbial wet floor is yours on a scale of 0 to 4 leg splits. What do you give Jean-Claude and Timecop?
All right. Well, here's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, LA Knight's disappeared, didn't he? Where did he go? But we'll talk about that.
I don't know
later.
if this is a bad thing for Timecop when Cruz asking about LA Knight in the middle of his review.
Well, I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but here's the thing.
No. Come on.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is not an actor. I'm sorry. He's just not. He's reading lines. That's what he's doing. So Gene Siskel's right. That's what he's on screen for. He's an insanely talented martial artist who is incredibly good looking and is able to and does have a screen presence, but there is nothing that distinguishes any character that he plays from the other. It's just except whether they're a villain or a good guy. So, No Retreat, No Surrender, his first movie. There's a stark contrast to this.
Well, that's a silly. Come on,
I know that. But that's my point. So I got to stop expecting the quintessential Van Damme performance. I don't think there is one except for the Expendables 2. All right, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna stop expecting it. Other things. The first half of this movie is very, very good. Okay, I love the concept. Absolutely love the concept. Was not aware that it was based on any source material, but whether what was or not doesn't make any difference for me. The idea of going back in time to stop people from going back in time and profiting off that. I like this guy comes from the future to steal gold from a Confederate soldier. Ultra cool. Possibilities are endless. And just when they're, knocking on the door of something really cool, it delves right into the second half, which is just bad guy versus good guy. You got the officer who's a double agent, and the time thing just kind of goes under the table in favor of, guns a-blazing and shit blowing up and sons being dead and then coming back to life and all that stuff. And it became so formulaic. And that was a bummer because I was truly enjoying. It was tough to get through the second half of the movie. I had it by, by the time, he sees his son and I was like, okay, I get it. So, based on that, on the quality of the supporting performances, that's a positive. Negative, bad special effects. Positive, great first half. Negative, bad second half. Positive, Mia Sara's incredible scene, we'll call it that. Based on all that, putting it through the machine and crunching the numbers and coming out with the final printout, my final score. What is it? Karate kicks? What was it?
Leg splits.
Leg splits is 2 out of 4. I did not hate it like I hated Nowhere to Run and some of the other ones, but I was truly let down by what started out as a real terrific premise. So 2 out of 4.
My humble opinion, your best review so far, because I think I'm in the same spot. Perhaps just getting there in a different way, because first thing is I remember seeing this in the theater. I was probably about 23 years old. Rockville Center, place was sold out. And so my remembering seeing this was very fond because I think this was really, in my eyes, the big money Van Damme movie, and I remember liking it or having it a very enjoyable experience back then. So now let me get to watching it. What was good? I do think this is a great look of the film. It does look like we've talked about before. It feels like the studio said, you know what? We're paying this guy a lot of money. Let's put a few bucks into it. Let's get a deep cast. Let's go for it. Let's try to stay away from typical fighting fare, and let's throw a sci-fi plot, and let's do something cool. Okay? So you have that, a great deep supporting cast. I thought there were some pretty fun fighting sequences there, some of the more enjoyable ones I've seen so far. And I thought there, to Andrew's point, very interesting. Some of the tech pieces, like the AI speaking, like it's sort of come true, nowadays. Yeah. So some of that stuff was really ahead of its time. So there is a great look to the film. What I didn't enjoy, again, I know Andrew said it's a kind of a linear, but it's so hard to follow the rules with time loop. It's almost like they're making the rules as they go along. Characters are exposition, you can't touch
Yeah.
A lot of plot holes, at times very silly sort of plot holes involved. So my final review is this. This is a big one for Van Damme. I think they went for it here. Big budget feel. Despite Andrew's criticism of, maybe with the special effects, it does look like, it does look and feel different here. Science fiction action plot, big name co-star in Ron Silver, real legitimate, amazing actor. And I agree with Andrew. It's not a bad movie. But watching it today in 2023 did not match my feelings back in 1994. I enjoyed it, but it just fell from me going, you know what, this was an awesome, enjoyable mainstream action movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme, I agree with Groo. If this is the best he's got, then it doesn't bode well for prior and future projects. I've said he's able to emote, but I have to admit his skill set is limited. In comparison to his peers, some of the guys who've hit, home runs like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, it's not a diamond, but it's a really good cubic zirconium. It's two and a half leg split. It's 2.5 leg splits for me.
2.5.
It just fell short from my expectations, and my expectations were high, and I left as well. Maybe in a different traveling to get there, but I was disappointed in Timecop too.
Yeah,
I felt like it could have been more.
So, one question I have for you: do you have the same sentiments about it feels like halfway through they just gave up on the whole time thing and just focused on let's get to the big shoot 'em up ending?
Well, see, I thought where the movie kind of got interesting for me was after the hospital scene with Felding, because and again, it's kind of like silly, but he goes through the blood samples. He sees his wife blood sample, and she's pregnant. So now he knows in the past he was pregnant, and then he goes back to Felding. Hold on, and he goes back, and then she's dead because they injected the shit into her veins, and then you see those two baddies walking, and I thought that's where it picked up. But then, the final fight sequence, I thought was very, at times, silly. It's the cool dark with the rain, so that was kind of cool. But the two Van Dammes, it was confusing. Mia Sara's climbing on a roof, and then I actually thought the thing with Ron Silver, I would have loved to seen maybe one Van Damme hold one Ron Silver, while the other one hold, and then they kill, but they did what they did. So I won't be as harsh as it felt like the first half versus the second half. I felt like it picked up a little bit for me after that whole death of Felding in the hospital, but I could see your point.
But yeah, I wanted to see more. I wanted to see them have more fun with the time jumps, more screwing around with the past. I loved when his partner, when they showed his partner playing the rock music in like during the Depression as he's as he's playing the stock market and the thing in the beginning. I wanted to see more of that and be inventive with that, but they really didn't go anywhere beyond just using it for a plot device instead of making it actually part of the story. I would have really enjoyed more of that, and that's what I was looking forward to from that opening scene, and it just never materialized. So that's the basis for my opinion.
Yeah, Casey Schmoz, by the way, that was his partner that went back into time and played.
I knew I recognized that guy.
Yeah.
And it was surprising. Actually, I didn't think to look it up, and it was surprising because at that point in Casey Schmoz's career, if that was an unbilled performance, because he would have been in the credits because he was well known. I mean, he was for a while there. He was an above the title guy. So, look, you can't win them all.
I wonder where they go with I think they did a sequel or two, and they did the television show. I believe they did a television show on Timecop. So I'm curious how those other pieces went.
Like you said, there's a lot of source material to choose from. So I don't know. I'd be interested because I like the concept. I'd be interested to see what those other pieces of material bring. So maybe I'll take a look.
So both my partner and I, there was certainly a liking, but it certainly fell short of our expectations. Groo, before we wrap it up, give us one thing you are watching this week.
All right, so one thing I am watching this week, and I forgot the reason why I brought it up before, but one thing I'm watching this week is an HBO Max show called, I'm sure you've heard of it, it's all over social media, The Last of Us. Have you watched it all, or are you just aware of it?
I watched the first episode, and I liked it, and I don't know why I haven't gone back and watched it.
All right, so it's about a global pandemic pretty much wipes out just almost everybody or turns them into zombies based on some video game that I've never heard of. I liked the first episode, and I watched the second and the third because everybody was talking about those 3 episodes, and yes, they were good. It's not, but like you said, it's not grabbing me so that I need to rush back in. And that's what I heard. I heard about it. I heard they said it's completely bingeable. It's like you can't put it down, and I'm not finding it to be that. I'm interested in it. I think Pedro Pascal is a really good talent. I like what I'm seeing, but it's not pulling me along with it, at least not yet. So, but I'm still with it because I do like it. So that is what I'm watching this week, The Last of Us, HBO Max.
So are you recommending this, or are you
I'm recommending it because it is good. It's just not. It doesn't live up to the hype that everybody is putting at. If you put the hype aside and you look at it as a science fiction kind of post-apocalyptic story that doesn't have any source material, it's actually pretty fascinating. But it has not met the expectations that were set by all the rhetoric. That's the thing. So, but I'm sticking with it. So I am recommending it because it is good. It's incredibly acted, I will say. So I am recommending it.
Andrew, what I'm watching this week, 2023 Hulu documentary, Stolen Youth, inside the cult at Sarah Lawrence. Grew 8 roommates at a Tony Liberal Arts College in Bronxville, New York. Become 9 as a dad crashes with the 8 roommates. Newly released from prison, fella's name is Lawrence Larry Ray. He cooked for the roommates. He cleaned. He told stories of his time supposedly with the CIA and the Marines. He was a part elder, part motivator for these young college kids. He captured the interest of most of the group, and then things got weird. I mean, really weird. 3-part documentary that's both stunning and explicit on how an older guy kind of weaved his way into a group of college students, became really manipulated. if you have some time, check out Stolen Youth on Hulu.
I will, because I'm actually interested. Have you noticed that there is like an overabundance of documentaries or stories about cults lately? I'm saying
no,
like last 5 or 6 years.
But no. But what I have found out about myself is I've really enjoyed documentaries.
Oh, me too.
Me too.
Maybe
even better than sometimes like movies and stuff. I just find maybe real life is maybe stranger than fiction, and some of it is fascinating.
Yeah, well, a good documentary is as good as any fictional movie. So, yeah, I'm going to check this out. The way you made it sound, I'm interested in it based on the description alone, but your approval of it will send me into the world of what's it called? A Stolen Youth is what you said.
Stolen
right?
Youth.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out. Absolutely.
All right, guys. When Groo and I return back to the mothership, Nothing Worthwhile, we'll take a look at Sylvester Stallone's first foray into television. It's season 1 of The Tulsa King. We're going to break it down. Groo, Rocky on TV?
Yeah, Rocky on TV. I was very skeptical about Sylvester Stallone making the jump to the small screen, but we'll find out what the results were in just a week's time. Hopefully.
Okay.
But,
yes.
Definitely looking forward to. I'm gonna have to give it a rewatch. Probably at least the first half. So I'm looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward. What?
I don't. I watch those intently. I got them all in my brain. I got them all.
So do I. I like to brush up a little bit on certain details from certain episodes.
No dementia here, buddy. I'm tight and ready to go.
Oh, God forbid. God forbid.
Sorry, everybody.
But yeah, definitely very excited to talk about the Tulsa King.
All right, Groo. In 1 month's time, we will return back to Van Dammit. But in this time, it's 1991, and we're going to switch to the other guy, Mr. Steven Seagal. Van Dammit's going to take a judicious look at Out for Justice, starring Steven Seagal, William Forsythe, and Jerry Orbach. This was an Andrew Gruthius request, and it's gone through our board of directors and has been approved. Andrew, 1991, Mr. Seagal, Out for Justice.
Yes, this was a request by me. It's a movie that I've seen many times. I mean, it wouldn't be spoiling to tell you that it's a movie that I endorse. But my purpose
Are we going to just go on and go great movie and what happened to Steven Seagal?
No, because my purpose is the same with Over the Top. I want to defend it. I want to see. I love hearing other people's opinions of it, and I have trouble understanding the ones that don't like it. I have trouble understanding why they don't like it, and I love hearing the opinions of it. I'm fascinated by this movie. I don't know why, but so I'm really looking forward to talking about it with you.
All right. Well, that will be Van Dammit next month
at the expense of our audience.
Out for Justice. Groo, that's it for this episode of Van Dammit-Timecop. We hope everyone has enjoyed this podcast. Groo, take us out of here.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, as always, for joining us on behalf of New U Life Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Myself and my esteemed partner, Evan Moody, would like to thank you for joining us on this beautiful, at least here, Saturday afternoon. We hope you have a wonderful President's Day weekend and have plenty of time to look forward to next week when Moody and I take you on the path to Tulsa, Oklahoma on Nothing Worthwhile with Moody and Groo. And ladies and gentlemen, until then, no retreat,
no surrender.
Brrr.
We'll see you for Elimination Chamber, everybody.
Quack, quack.
Knocks you cow.
From funky Chinatown, they were chopping them up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody